So excited, the new book. Wonder what they've got new. Ooh, red chili cherry jam. Tart cherries? Let's go. I just so happen to have a cherry tree, a ladder, and a bucket. Let's do this. Welcome to June. Jam it up, June, that is. I'm so excited to be able to be a part of this. This is my third year doing this. It's the third year they've had it. And if you go back to my first video, I'll link it somewhere. It's actually a cherry video too. So I thought, you know what? It's the time of year for me. June is always when the tart cherries are going on my cherry trees out in the orchard. So today we're going to be working on this recipe. If you are interested in this, you'll have to find the book. It's the newest ball preservation book there is out there, and only certain places have a certain amount they are selling. And I have a friend who grabbed me one and sent it to me. And so today we're going to try a new recipe. Red chili cherry jam. I'm not going to put the recipe down below because I don't want copyright issues, and I'm just not going to deal with it. So come with me as we put together this sweet and spicy jam. So after we went and picked our cherries, I went ahead and I pitted them, and now I'm going to give them just kind of a rough chop here on the cutting board. We want to still have some bits and pieces. This is a jam, so we want to have a little bite to it. And the cherries will continue to break down as we cook them. So, you know, just a nice rough chop. We'll start out with probably close to 2 pounds. We want to end up with about 4 cups of chopped cherries. I'll take these cherries and I'm going to put them in a pot with the juice. Now these are fresh picked from my tree. You absolutely can use frozen. Next we need to get a red bell pepper. And we're going to cut this up. I want to de-seed it. Bell pepper seeds don't bring much heat anyway, and texturally it's just not fun having them in there. So we're going to get that out of the way. You're going to want about a cup of chopped peppers, and you're going to want them finely chopped. So I've just kind of got some chunks here. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my chopper out. I'm going to chop away at this until I have a nice fine dice. That also will go into our pot. So the next ingredient I needed was a cayenne pepper, and unfortunately around where I live, the stores just don't carry those things readily, and it is not the season for peppers right now, especially a hot pepper. And so I had to make a substitution. As much as I would have liked to use the powdered pepper, I did consult with a friend of mine who happens to be a master canner, and she said you can't do that because the pepper powder isn't always just pepper. Like, they put fillers and things in it, so you have to be very cautious of those kinds of things. And I could probably research and find some that's 100%, or if I wanted to dehydrate or freeze dry my own, I'm sure that would be okay too. But I went ahead and just grabbed a jalapeno pepper. I know a red one would have been perfect because we're wanting to keep with the red color since it is a cherry jam, but it's gonna be okay. So we're just gonna substitute out this pepper for that pepper, because you can do that with canning. You could even use more bell pepper if you didn't want the heat and the spice with it. So pepper for pepper, it doesn't matter. Just follow the ingredients according to the recipe on measurements. If you have sensitive skin, by all means, you should put on some rubber gloves while you cut up your hot peppers. But because it's just the one jalapeno, I can usually get away with de-seeding it without any issues. I just want to make sure not to rub my eyes. And if a couple seeds get in there, it won't be the end of the world. And then again, I'm going to put this in the chopper and chop, chop, chop. And I want to make sure it's really, really fine. Especially since it's that green color, I want to make sure it disperses nice and evenly. And into the pot that goes. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn on about a medium to medium high heat, and to this I'm going to add my pectin, which you could just use a box. I just happen to buy my pectin in bulk, and today we're using lemon juice, which is kind of fun and exciting. Usually we're using lime juice. Usually we use lemon. So I need 2 tablespoons of store-bought lime juice, and we're just going to stir this up. It looks really pretty, doesn't it? Make sure that pectin is all absorbed, and we're just gonna let this bubble and simmer for a bit. Okay, we have brought our pepper and cherry mixture to a boil. We've kind of let it come to a good simmer. We've kept it at a medium high heat, and now, whoop, little foggy. Now it's time to add in our sugar. It's about 4.5 cups there. And now what we need to do is stir this in really well. And this is going to cool that mixture down. So we need to bring it back up to a rolling boil. So it's, you know, when you stir, it's not, you see it's not bubbling, but it might bubble when I stop stirring. We need to make it to where when I'm stirring, it's bubbling. So this will take a few minutes. And while we're waiting on that to come to a rolling boil, I went ahead and I brought out, we need 6 jars estimated. I went ahead and grabbed a couple extra just in case. I've got the lids that came with the jar, and we're gonna take those over here to the stove, and we're gonna go ahead and turn them on low. And I wanna just kind of warm up those seals, because those are kind of the old-fashioned lids. They're the ones that I use for market, and so that is what is directed for that particular company that I use today. At this point, you're going to want to constantly stir, because if you don't, you could scorch and it'll stick to the bottom, and that is never fun. So while I've been stirring on my jam, I also got out my steam canner. We're going to use a steam canner today. It takes the same exact time as a water bath canner does, but it uses less water and it's just not near as heavy. So I have this on the back burner, keeping warm until we are ready to jar this up and process it. We have now reached a rolling boil. See how when I stir, it just does not stop boiling? That's a rolling boil. We need to let this boil hard for 1 minute. The timer just went off, so I'm going to take my jam off the heat. I'm going to transfer this over on the heat. Shut that burner off, and come on, let's go fill these jars. I have all my canning stuff ready. If there is a skim of foam on top of your jam, you'll want to go ahead and take that off. I don't know that they recommend, they used to say you could put a pat of butter in there, but I don't know that they really recommend that anymore. Usually it'll stir in pretty good, but if you've got a lot, make sure you skim it off. I'm gonna grab my ladle, and I wanna fill to 1/4 of an inch headspace. Now that is right there up at the tippy top. So let's go ahead. I'm not sure I'm quite there yet. We'll go ahead and debubble. And then this is a 1/4 right there, the very top one. Nope, I'm not quite there yet. So I need to add just a little bit more. And that probably does it. We are right there. I have a bowl of vinegar over here, and I'm gonna dip my paper towel into that. I'm gonna wipe this rim so that there's not any sticky residue left. I'm gonna grab my hot lid and my ring. Fingertip tight. That means go all the way tight and then bring it back to where your fingertips just shut it. And then we're going to carefully put this in our steam canner or your water bath. And we will repeat this process until all of our jam is in a jar. Well, we only ended up with 5, and then just a little bit, which I'll use here maybe in the next week or so. It's already starting to gel, so I know it's going to be a nice jam to use as a spread, maybe over on the top of cream cheese, maybe on top of a roast. What ways can you think of to use this? Now I just need to wait for this to get into the dark green, and we'll process for 10 minutes. Now I'm not much of one on heat, but I really want to give this a taste test. Woo! That was a spicy jalapeno. My husband is going to love this. He'll probably just eat it on his toast. Our 10 minutes is up, so now I'll just shut the oven or the stove top off, and we need to let this rest for about 5 minutes before we open up the lid. I'm going to take it and I'm just going to kind of tilt it just a teeny tiny bit. Okay, now we'll just grab the jars by the rings and move them over here. And as much as you want to move them around, do not tighten down the ring. Do not mess with them. Leave them alone for at least like 12 hours. Let them set, let them be, and let them seal and do what they need to do. Come back to them tomorrow. My best advice to you is when you're done with these projects, go ahead, do your dishes. Wash them up now while everything is still warm. Otherwise, that sticky mess will get stuck on there and you'll be so mad if you wait till tomorrow. We hope that they all seal. I plan to put a few of them into the farm stand. But if they don't, put them in the refrigerator and they will stay for quite a while. Probably, I don't remember exactly how long they suggest, but you know, use it right away. But you can save it by putting it in the freezer or the fridge if they do not seal. Thanks for watching. Love having you with me. See you next time. Bye for now.